The Paranormal Portal. You know what I forgot to do? I'm just forgetting all kinds of things, Sheldon. I forgot to unmute the main line when I did the intro earlier, and now I forgot to join us to TFR. So hold on 1 second, folks. There's more, and let's get to that now so we can make this all official and get it underway. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Saturday edition of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we've got a lot of things going on here tonight. Hello, everybody in the YouTube chat. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming in. That's a new name, Rue. Pleasure to meet you. And Absolute Death, good to meet you as well. Unless I already knew you, and it's a rebrand, but great to see you guys. Always cool to see new faces. Flyer Tuck just came in. Old Spirit Art. How you doing, Old Spirit Art? Brown Dwarf's in there. Maggie 10. Android's in there. Rachel's in there. Wonder Woman's in there. Oh, it's just a growing boat of fun here on the Paranormal Portal. And even in the studio, well, not exactly in the studio, but connected to the studio, I'm not alone here. I've got the big toe the big branch, rather, sorry. Big branch himself of my own family tree, Mr. Sheldon Thomas is joining me. How you doing, buddy?
The big toe, eh?
Well,
I will not accept that one as a new title.
Well, the big toe is with us in spirit always. So Don is out there working on the podcast right now, actually, for the episode that'll release on Monday. And
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So how you doing, Sheldon? Good?
I can't complain. Up here in the cold north Borean tundra of Minnesota, not much has changed. It is still cold and it is still snowy. So that's what we got going for us. How are you doing?
I'm warmer than you. I'm just looking to see how much warmer. You're at 6 and I'm at 34.
Oh yeah. It's oh man, that hurts. That hurts to hear. Oh, that hurts.
It's kind of rough, and I'm sorry about that. But you know what? I did many years of that over there, so I can totally empathize with that. But we got a lot of stuff to get to tonight. We are simulcasting on TFR Live. So if you're new to the show, we do take breaks every half hour. Not because we have to, but because we need to keep everything in sync with the other networks. Because TFR then simulcasts on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live as well. So the stations take the half-hour break. So in order to keep it all connected and together, we do it here on YouTube as well. So my apologies if that's annoying to you, but it's just because there's a lot more going on behind the curtain than you knew, maybe. We've got the news coming up in just a minute, and we're going to get to the question of the week from our Discord and the second break. And then after that, we're going to dive into a bunch of stories of weirdness and wonder that, kind of shape our worldview of the paranormal. And we'll hit the cryptid corner with some phantoms and monster stories at the end. So we got a lot to cover. I feel like I'm ready. Are you ready, Sheldon?
I'm always ready.
You are. Well, in that case, without further ado, let's get to the news. We are the most trusted news, apparently. And I'm how you doing, Unknown? Good to see you, and good to see everybody. Hi, Portal Mom. Good to see you as well. And John.
Nina.
Yeah. Noddy's in here. Hi, Noddy. Good to meet you. It's a new name as well. It's always fun to turn on the lights and have new people showing up, or at least new names to me. If you've been around before, maybe you've just been lingering in the background, but it's great to meet you guys and have a chance to thank you in person for coming and checking out the shows and continue to spread the word. Let other people know. But this is the Paranormal Portal News Desk. And as always, I've dug up a whole bunch of news stories that might be interesting, and they might be weird. They might be a little troubling. We got a whole grab bag of fun here. A lot of archive issues tonight because there just wasn't a lot of fresh news. Usually when we reach Saturday, we're kind of scraping through what's available, and sometimes I reread things by accident, but I try not to. And so I dig in the archives to find more stuff to bring you and more weirdness that's happened around the face of the earth. So. Oh, thank you for the pop-up ad. That's awesome. All right, so first and foremost, let's visit unexplained-mysteries.com. This is a great site, folks. This site is really amazing. They're very timely with their postings and just so many different threads of information and perfectly sized articles for quick consumption. I just love this site. I can't recommend them enough. So head over to unexplained-mysteries.com and check them out. The first article just shows you dreams do come true because California authorities grant a young girl a license to own a unicorn.
Oh, wait, what?
There's apparently a license for unicorns in California. Don't they have mushrooms available there too? Isn't that?
Maybe they're correlated.
Maybe that ties in. I'm not sure. But apparently if you live in California, you need a license to have a unicorn. And this girl got one. The girl had written to her local animal control authority to ask for permission to keep a unicorn in her backyard. Well, that's a good place to keep them, I guess.
Uh-huh.
It says, I didn't even read this before. It says, sometimes dreams do come true, as evidenced recently by the case of Madeline, a young girl whose ambition to own a real-life unicorn prompted her to write a letter to the County of Los Angeles Department of Animal Care and Control to ask for official permission. Department officials were so touched that they wrote her a letter back telling her that she could indeed own a unicorn, provided she follow a number of strict guidelines. The guidelines included granting the unicorn regular access to moonbeams and rainbows, feeding it watermelon at least once a week, and polishing its horn once a month with a soft cloth. The department also stipulated that any sparkles or glitter used must be non-toxic and biodegradable. Well, see, there's already red tape, you know?
Oh, no.
So much for dreams. Director Marcia Mayeda even sent the girl a tag with permanent unicorn license written on it. She commended the youngster for her sense of responsible pet ownership, to seek permission in advance, and for considering the requirements of providing a loving home to the animals. The story quickly went viral and ended up making it onto multiple mainstream news channels. As for Madeline, no doubt this is one real-life fairy tale she won't be forgetting anytime soon. So that's cute. They even got the letter here that they included.
Aww.
That's adorable. That's really sweet. I guess there's a unicorn.
That's really cute. That's a good, wholesome, feel-good story. Right?
It is a good way to start, right? I feel all warm and tingly now, don't you?
It's better than how you usually start with
it could
be or weird or.
It could be the cough medicine, but it might just be the unicorn story. I'm not sure. I feel a little funny. I'm attributing it to unicorns for now. So there you go. The unicorns, you got to get a license though. Should be responsible. That's a cute story though. All right, next up, and that was a fresh story. Here's one more fresh story, and I thought this one was interesting. I just hope it's not huge, because it came from the archaeology section, and sometimes those are written by people who love to write.
Oh, yeah.
And let me just look. No, it's actually pretty digestible. It's just a perfect size for the portal here. So from unexplained-mysteries.com, enigmatic writing system in Ice Age cave art deciphered. Wow. So all this time we just thought these were just scribbles of people going, hey, saw one of these today, and put it up on the wall. But apparently it's a writing system. Let's see what it says. Hunter-gatherers who painted on cave walls 20,000 years ago also left something behind quite unexpected. For years, archaeologists have worked to understand the hidden meanings in the thousands of examples of prehistoric art found on cave walls across Europe. These artistic works often featured animals such as bison, fish, reindeer, and the now extinct aurochs, but some of them also included a sequence of dots and marks that seemed to be some form of writing system, one which experts had long struggled to fully interpret. Now, though, a new collaboration between researcher Ben Bacon, love his food, I love his food, and experts from Durham University and University College London has finally lifted the lid on exactly what these symbols meant. It turns out that the marks were actually part of an ancient writing system, a lunar calendar which was used to document the timing of the reproductive cycles of the animals. This type of information would have been highly relevant to the hunter-gatherers of the time. The results show that Ice Age hunter-gatherers were the first to use a systemic calendar and marks to record information about major ecological events within that calendar, said archaeologist Professor Paul Petit of Durham University. To unravel the enigma, the team used the birth cycles of today's animals as a reference point. We're able to show that these people who left a legacy of spectacular art in the caves of Lascaux and Altamira also left a record of early timekeeping that would eventually become commonplace among our species, says Petit. So they invented time, folks.
They invented time.
They invented time. They invented the first calendar of time. So there you go. I don't know. Kind of interesting. I did not know that before today, and I'm hoping you guys didn't either. Because that's the scope of the Paranormal Portal news. Is we may not know it all, but hopefully you leave here knowing something you didn't know before. Now we're diving into the archives.
Oh boy.
This is where it gets really quirky and weird, because these are the world of the bizarre is the archives. So it's all these bizarre stories, and I think these are often fun, but we're back to the year 2009 now as we're going backwards in time. And the article from unexplained-mysteries.com, their archive is Don't Die Here, It's Illegal, from December 2nd, 2009. It sounds ridiculous, but there are still places in the world in which it is illegal to die. What are they going to do? Lock you up?
That's so dumb. Oh my God.
If you die here, you're going in the dirt. While in the past, such laws were maintained on religious grounds, modern no-death laws usually relate to a shortage of cemetery space. Prohibition of death is a political, social phenomena and taboo in which a law is passed stating that it is illegal to die, usually specifically in certain political division or in a specific building. What happens? I mean, I don't think we don't schedule these things, do we?
Man, I guess I'll die tomorrow over there.
I can't move there. I'm about to die. Dang it. That's really weird. That's a weird law.
Laws like that are just, why? It's such a waste of time and resources.
I wonder how they enforce it, though. It's like, so if, like, say you got grandma living with you and it's just her time and she passes away, do they like find the living relatives? Well, grandma died here. That was illegal. So one of you has got to go to jail.
Oh, God.
I don't know. That's really, really, really bizarre. Really bizarre and strange. So
incredibly.
I don't know where those places are, but I don't know of any around here, which is good. So land of the free.
Guess.
You're free to die wherever you want. Unexplained-mysteries.com brings us the next one. Sheldon, you're going to love this one.
No.
I thought of you when I pulled it up. It's from November 27th, 2009. Farting pig sparks gas leak emergency.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sure they smell something. It's got to be a gas leak. That's like rotten eggs. 15 firefighters rushed to a property in Victoria, Australia on Tuesday night. Again, this is November 27th, 2009. Following reports of a gas leak, what they found instead was a 120 kilogram sow with a flatulence problem. Victoria's country fire authority says a call out to a suspected gas leak in central Victoria on Tuesday night was not what they were expecting. 15 firefighters and 2 CFA tankers attended a property in Axdale near Bendigo following reports of a strong smell of gas. Wow. I don't know what they were feeding that pig, but they might want to change his diet just a little. Oh. So just check around for any agricultural wildlife before you call the authorities. Might be a good rule of thumb.
One of those things, better be safe than sorry, I guess. So
Yeah, I know. It's the one you don't want to get wrong. It's like, well, he's either a gas leak or that we got a bad pig around here. Which do you bet on? You bet on the gas leak, and then you hope it's the pig, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the cycle of logic on that one. So let's get to the next one from the archives of fun here on the Paranormal Portal, and from unexplained-mysteries.com from November 24th, 2009. This one I thought was just interesting. I mean, it's just a real lucky break for the guy, but electrician saved by wristwatch. An electrician who was connecting a high voltage switch was hit with 11,000 volts, but survived because he was wearing a metal wristwatch. Even so, he spent several days in intensive care with burns to 20% of his body. Ouch. An electrician has revealed that his wristwatch might have saved his life after he was hit with 11,000 volts while working. Steve Edwards, 51, spent 5 days in intensive care during being treated for burns to his face, chest, neck, and arms after the horrific incident. Now, I've been zapped by 220 before because I was just dumb and trying to change a water heater element, and so I pulled out the old water heater element and got it all unhooked and stuff, but I had forgotten to turn off the breaker. And I'm standing barefoot on a cement floor in water. And I get the new one on there. I get one line on there and tighten it up with my screwdriver. And then I grab the other one, and it was like an electric screwdriver, so it wasn't like the properly shielded screwdriver. Oh. And I hit the wire on the other one, and all of a sudden it was like my bones were being clapped together, all of them at rapid speed. It was like it was so stupid, but I made it. The good news is I made it, but the bad news is that I almost didn't. I imagine that could have killed me really easily. But I will tell you that that's the kind of accident that you should only make once. That's the kind of mistake that you only make once. I learned a valuable lesson that day. And in subsequent element changes, I turned off the breaker first. I don't know. I was just in a hurry. It was so dumb. But it was the most bizarre feeling and painful, because it was like every bone in my body was being like separated from other bones and then slammed together in quick succession. So it was like this horrible feeling. Like your joints, or like, what do you mean? Everything, every bone, like every joint felt like it was being like stretched out and then snapped together in my whole body. Like my spine, my ribs, my hands, my fingers, my toes. It was terrible, but I was like, nah, I was able to pull loose. It was horrible accident.
That's bizarre. That's a bizarre feeling. I don't even know what that would feel like.
No, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. Have you ever grabbed like an electric fence, like a little rabbit one or whatever? It's like a real low version of what that felt like, except through my whole body. I don't know. I had some guardian angels looking out for me there, because that could have been game over in a hurry. But I made it. The good news is I'm still here. All right. Here's a weird one, and I don't think there's any pictures, unfortunately, because I'm really curious as to what this looked like. But maybe there is. Usually these old archive ones don't have active images anymore. But this is from November 8th, 2009. Bizarre plant root resembles boy. Yeah, there's no images, unfortunately. It says scientists are attempting to understand the process that created a bizarre 12-pound root that was dug out of the ground by a farmer in China, and which uncannily resembles the form of a human boy down to the smallest detail. Ooh, that's creepy. Baffled scientists are trying to get to the root of this astonishing plant dug out of the ground by a Chinese farmer. The 2-foot-tall root weighs in at approximately 12 pounds and bears an amazing resemblance to a boy in even the smallest detail. But there's no image to go by, so we don't know what that smallest detail is. But I was thinking of like mandrakes from Harry Potter, right? Where which is really, those roots do resemble like a humanoid frame. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know what this thing looked like, but I'm really curious to know. So if any of you out there know of any links that might have that image, let us know, because
Trying to find it.
I figured you might. But there you go. From China. They're digging up kid roots. And maybe,
Oh, China. I mean, not China. Google has no idea, apparently.
yeah, I don't know. Probably got pulled or something else, or maybe they figured it was nothing, or maybe it's a hoax. Who knows? Here's another one. This one's kind of a sweet one. I should look at the time, see what we're doing. 6 minutes. We're good. This one is from unexplained-mysteries.com from November 1st, 2009. And this is Woman Saved by Guardian Angel. So that's good. It says a woman in Spain had her life saved when a complete stranger came up to her on a bus and told her to have tests done for a rare disease that she'd never even heard of. Well, the test came back positive. A Spanish woman has thanked a stranger who saved her life after approaching her on a bus to tell her she was suffering from a rare disease. Wow, is that angelic? Maybe. Maybe, or just somebody with some really interesting psychic ability. That's pretty incredible, but amazing. I hope that she was able to treat it and be okay, but that's pretty sketchy. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, no kidding.
At any rate, that's, I mean, so I think that the angelic stuff can happen through people as well. Like, I don't know. I think we've all had times where we feel like, should I say something to that person? No. Yeah, no. And then you end up saying it and the person is just, really appreciates it, and it means a lot to them. And sometimes I think, are those divine inspirations? Are those, I don't want to say compulsion because you have a choice, but it was like those urges, are they inspired by the divine or our connection to the divine or whatever? But I think that they're very powerful. And in a case like this, it could have very well have saved the woman's life. So cool story, right, Sheldon?
Absolutely. I think we can absolutely be like vehicles for divine intervention. Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
I think that's sometimes what some of our gut feelings are.
Yeah, exactly. And even animals, like, many people have had these angelic animals turn up at just the right time in their life and just help them to heal and to carry on. And I think that those can be angelic as well,
Yeah.
So very cool. Here's another one from...
This is not a valid menu option.
Yeah.
Huh? That hasn't happened for a long time. I
remember hearing that a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. I don't know what that is. I always figure it's the ghost in the machine. I mean, we're sitting here talking about the paranormal. Maybe someone's disagreeing with my assertion of divine intervention, but I don't know. That's a weird thing. I don't know where that's coming from, folks. It happens once in a great while here on the show. I don't know what application is doing it or why. I'm currently just working with these browser tabs, so I'm not working with any other application behind the scenes. Very strange. I assume it's probably from Skype, something with Skype, but I don't know why it's happening. So you be the judge, but I think you guys all heard it, right? Did you guys all hear that voice?
They did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very strange. I don't know. Just once in a while, things go weird in the studio here, and I don't necessarily understand why. But honestly, I think it could be because we talk about this stuff all the time. So maybe we're drawing stuff to us. All right. Another article from unexplained-mysteries.com. This one's coming from, this comes from February 2nd, 2010. They say dogs are man's best friend. Don't they, Sheldon? Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
Not this one.
Oh.
Dog shoots owner.
Oh.
In a peculiar set of events, a duck hunter was accidentally shot by his dog during a hunting trip in California. The man had been picking up duck decoys when his Labrador retriever accidentally stepped on the loaded shotgun that he had left sitting on the ground. Luckily, the shot didn't cause too much an injury. And yeah, it was like birdshot, I'm sure. Duck hunter is recovering after he was accidentally shot by his Labrador retriever over the weekend. The man was picking up duck decoys Saturday on a hunting trip near Los Banos, California, when his dog accidentally stepped on the loaded shotgun he left on the ground. Yeah, there's a safety for a reason.
Yeah, his own fault. Absolutely his own fault.
Yeah, I mean dogs, especially like the dog. I'm sure loves that part of life, like going out and doing the hunting thing. That's like a special time because those retriever dogs are amazing. They'll just go all day long. They're just full of energy. Even remember Xena, she just was nonstop when it came to the water. So, the dog's fidgeting around and dancing and stepping. And sure, I guess it's probably a good thing he was not hunting deer.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Blew off a leg or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Oh, well, there you go. That's probably not the dog's fault, but what a weird story. Here's the kind of story that you don't hear a lot of, and it's probably good. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, one, why a person would do this, and I'm not sure, two, who's going to buy him after he did. But this is a story of smuggling from unexplained-mysteries.com. Man smuggles 44 lizards in his underpants. I don't even know. I don't even want to make fun of that because that's just so gross and weird. This is from January 27th, 2010. A man from Germany has been jailed after attempting to smuggle a number of reptiles out of New Zealand in his underwear. The German reptile collector attempted to carry 44 geckos and skinks out of the country by hiding them inside of a small pouch he had concealed in his underpants. He was fined about $5,000 New Zealand dollars and jailed for 14 months. German reptile collector has been jailed for 14 weeks and must pay $5,000. Well, there you go. Don't smuggle lizards in your underwear, folks. That's going to do it for the news. We'll be right back after this short break. Only a couple minutes. It'll be fine. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Hi, everybody. Welcome back from the break. We are back here and back at it on the Paranormal Portal. You made it. See, the breaks aren't so bad. I tried to do my best to give those of you on YouTube something to watch and do while those breaks happen, rather than pipe in a bunch of commercials for you to listen to as well, because who wants that? Marie Wellstead, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. The font is just micro in my chat window here. I got to figure out how to blow up the chat. Like you see some streamers have like a whole monitor just devoted, and it's huge. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm going to figure it out.
Well, some streamers just wear their glasses.
All right. Thanks for your opinion. You know what opinions are like, don't you? Never mind. All right. Ha ha ha. All right. So I thought we would do some shout outs because we got a good number of people here hanging out with us, which is awesome and amazing. And thank you all for being here. So Sheldon, you want to see who's here? For those,
I thought you were going to answer the question first. Okay.
No, not yet. Because over in TFR, there's just a couple people. Bam is there, and Relaxed Being is over there. So hello to you both. Thanks for joining us. And so, who's in the YouTube?
Well, we got Aggravated Progressive, Android Paranormal is here, Chunky Danger, Flyer Tuck, John Stevenson, Justin Foe Arsonist, Consquatch, Lucky Gypsy 13, Maggie M10, Marie Wellstead, You're Here, Rachel Gets It Right is here, Ron the Sage is here, The Megaphone Man is here, The Unknown, and Wonder Woman, and I'm here. Who just came in? I didn't see that. Who was it? Stephanie Vogue?
Well, yep, Stephanie Vaughn. Yeah.
Vaughn. My bad. On that, I think that's everyone in chat, at least.
Did you say Chunky Danger? It's Chucky Danger.
Oh, God. I may have misspoke. Yep, I must have misspoke, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, it's nothing personal, Chucky.
It's not. I swear to God, it's not.
You shouldn't wear your glasses. Oh, you got them on. Never mind.
God. And the worst part is I'm wearing them.
I know. No excuse.
It's all retracted, Maggie. It's okay.
How you doing, Colleen? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all of you guys being here. That's always awesome. So now we're going to move into a segment that we've been doing for a while now, and this is a fun segment for me because we get to ask our Discord community paranormal questions, and they weigh in on it, and then we cover it here in the live shows. And this segment is called our Discord question of the week. All right, so this is the Discord question of the week, and we are having a blast with this. I think it was a great addition to what we do here on the shows, and it's a great opportunity to tie in that chat community with what we're doing here, just to have that the holistic experience of the Paranormal Portal. And remind me, Sheldon, I got to talk about the Paranormal Portal website after this. So if you wouldn't mind.
Of course.
So this is the Discord question of the week. And again, Sheldon, did you put a link out for joining?
I shall right now.
Thank you so much. And this is Sheldon's posting a link now in the YouTube chat for any of you that might be interested in joining this as well. No, I haven't asked the question yet, unknown. Oh, you mean you didn't answer it yet? Well, you probably have time if you want to go ahead and type it in there on the bottom. Plenty of time. We got time to cover it. So just go ahead and let us know what you think. That's great. But the Discord community is a lot of fun because it's just kind of a continuation of our chat in many ways here on YouTube. And so if you like the community, a lot of these same people are hanging out over in the Discord, having chats over there. So we'd love to have you be a part of it. So please use that link and get involved if you have Discord. And if you don't have Discord, I will just show you that we do have a Discord tutorial here. So if you click that link and you join our Discord, this is what it looks like. On the very top, one of the very top threads under discussion is the Discord tutorials, and that's here. And these are just videos that'll walk you through how to use Discord if you're not quite sure. It should help you to at least get acclimated with what's going on over there. But this next one down is the Discord questions of the week. And these have been a lot of fun. I've loved your guys' take on all of this, and there's no wrong answers. So don't be afraid to put it out there what you think, because there's no experts in any of this stuff. A lot of times the term expert gets thrown around quite a bit, but there isn't any experts because nobody can actively study this stuff regularly. We just get little glimpses. So whatever you think is just as valid as anybody else on the face of the planet. So feel free to weigh in. Let us know what you think. I got to get centered a little more here. I'm kind of drifting under the margin. But Sheldon, do you want to read the question of the week, sir?
Yes, and then I'll go into Marie's question as well. All right, so question of the week is, there are stories of spirits being able to take items and then give them as well. These are known as deports and apports, or apports, whatever.
Apports, apports.
Do you believe that, 1, this is a real phenomena, and 2, that spirits can literally manifest these items from another dimension or reality, or are they just cleverly disguising them and then undisguising them in ours? First responder is within. Yes and yes. On 3 separate occasions, I found money in random places around the house. Every time, $100 bills.
Wow.
During the times when I was really struggling financially. No one, friends, family, etc., had been over visiting. It had also occurred in my car at random times too. I am certain that spirit has been instrumental in random checks, etc., being sent to me too. One time, an item I really needed randomly flew into my hand from out of nowhere.
Wow.
Holy moly, that is amazing.
That really is. That's a phenomenal set of circumstances. So you got a good one hanging around, that's for sure. Someone that truly cares about you. That's amazing. So congratulations.
I need a guardian like that around. Oh boy.
Yeah, no kidding. Please give cash. All right.
Next responder is Melzy. Absolutely. I do believe that this is a real phenomena because I have had it happen to me many times throughout my life. I work in daycare with infants, and there was this one time that I couldn't find a little girl's pacifier. Now, it's normal for pacifiers to get misplaced from time to time. However, that day I went to get her pacifier for her. I knew it was in her crib from the night before because I put it there when I left it that night, and I could not find it anywhere. So I went through all the cribs, lifted all crib mattresses, dug through all the toy bins, the garbage, behind everything, under everything. And after a week or so of looking, I gave up. It was one of her favorites. So about 3 months later, I was the early one that morning. I was walking down the aisle of cribs and back putting things away shortly after the 2 babies had arrived. They were on the rug in front of the toy shelf playing. I walked down the aisle of cribs and put something else away and noticed something in the middle of the aisle of cribs. It was the missing pacifier. I had searched every inch of the room and could not find it anywhere. And there it was in the middle of the crib aisle, laying on the floor.
Oh, cool.
Neither child at the time walked or moved at all. I was the only one down there besides them. So where did it come from?
Wow. Yeah, that's
indeed. Where did it come from? Another example.
And the other question is, do you use it after that? Because where's it been? That's the big question.
How many dimensions has it flown through?
Are they clean dimensions? We don't know. You might want to just get a new pacifier. That's really interesting.
Bacteria dimension.
Yes, it's the fecal dimension. welcome to some pink eye, kid. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. All right.
Next responder, just here and there 66. When I was a child, my siblings said gremlins, things being put in one spot, and when you turned away for a moment and it would be gone when you turned back, or things appearing somewhere when 5 people have looked in the same place it was supposed to be, and the next person to look there says found it. I still say the gremlins are at it again. Whenever I can't find something, I know I put it in a certain place, or when I find something out of place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's extraordinarily annoying when that stuff happens, too. It's like, come on.
Yeah. It's either gremlins or nargles or spirits.
Nargles. Yeah. All right.
It's the nargles. If you know the reference, you get it. Next responder is Wonder Woman. Our family attributed items disappearing and reappearing to an entity we called Sam. Keys, books, kitchen utensils were his favorite things. Sometimes food would disappear. However, one cold winter night, sitting around the dinner table, there was a huge ceiling collapse above the heater, and a man fell onto the floor. He scrambled up quickly and exited through the front door. Never knew who he was. Oh my God.
I think he got aported.
Wow, you had a
fell out of the ceiling?
I guessed.
Yeah, that's creepy as hell.
That's actually really creepy. That's even worse than just aporting or deporting.
Yeah. Well, it's even scarier if he was aported. Like, hey, I was just on the bus. What the hell's going on?
Oh, good point. Good point. Next responder, Paradox Fossil, says, I believe they are doing both, hiding them in plain sight, other parts of the house, or sending them to other points in time to alter people's timelines, or just to F with them. Yeah, I mean, just as valid. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it could be a time anomaly. You're right. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, time is said to be an illusion by some of that. It's just relative, so who knows what's possible with time.
Mm-hmm.
Next responder, B. Mora, says, yes, it happens. I had a beaded coin purse that was stolen from my car. I reported it the same day. The next day, a similar beaded coin purse was lying near the front door of the same car. Did the theft feel bad and placed it there for me to find? Or did Mom give me another one from the universe? I think it was Mom.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's nice. But it wasn't the exact same one, but it was similar. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, you just got a new one. Yeah, there you go. Next responder, Lily Pond, says, yes, it happens. It's happened to me. On 3 separate occasions, my work gloves have disappeared, and one time they disappeared from right under my nose, just seconds after I laid them down. Ooh, whoa. None of these gloves were ever returned. It was the Fae that took them. Shortly after the last pair disappeared, little dude showed himself to me. What I thought was a mischievous ghost turned out to be a trickster Fae, and again, yes, they can teleport objects, and I can only assume that if they can take something, they can also return it. The gloves were not just invisible to my eyes because I felt for them. They were taken. Wow.
Yeah, that is weird. If you just set something down and boom, it's gone, that's got to be the creepiest feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly. All right. So, Rachel 101 says, yes, I believe it's a real phenomenon. House spirits or possibly the Fae or another
Enigmatic. Enigmatic.
Oh my God. It's that one word I can't say today. Enigmatic entity is accomplishing this. Who knows? Some theories I have are at it when the object deports. They use other dimension to transport the objects to a physical area in our world, a place hidden. Maybe between the walls of your home, in the rafters of the roof and attic. When the object ports, the same technique is used. I lost and found a book that way in my apartment, a book called In Praise of Shadows. It's actually a book about the history of Japanese interior design. Nothing spooky. My bed is quite high. Being a cot, I can see very easily underneath the whole thing. I had the book on my bed and was missing so long I was able to order another copy online and have it delivered. Then, a week after the new one arrived, I found the old copy under the cot.
Wow.
Whoa. That's like insult to injury. Oh, you got a new one? I'll give it back now.
Yeah, now you got 2 of them. Great. Way to have to waste money.
Yeah, no kidding. And Android Paranormal says, great question. I've wondered this before too, but never hear anyone discuss this topic. I think disguising and undisguising it was likely just hidden somewhere really good, like an AC vent or some small place where we would never see without tearing the place apart. I wouldn't completely rule out items popping in and out of dimensions. However, At this point, I think we would have gotten it on camera by now with all the surveillance cameras and cell phone cameras, which we all captured all sorts of paranormal activity, but never appearing items to my knowledge.
Wow. That is interesting.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, the one thing about security cameras, I think largely they're meant to just give us an indication that someone is there and give us a vague idea of what that someone looks like. Certainly security cameras are generally pretty low resolution. They don't really show detail extraordinarily well, but you'd think if it was a big enough item, it would just appear. And I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anything like that where something was just appearing. And I don't know that I have. Certainly apparitions appear and disappear, but I can't think of any specific examples of something appearing on camera. And then even if you do see that, unless it's your own camera and your own app, you got to wonder, well, is that just a fancy edit?
Oh yeah,
that kind of stuff would be extraordinarily easy to do because it's a fixed camera. So you just need a before and after shot and some a technique called masking. And you can make people appear and disappear really quickly and easily. So it's anybody's guess. But those are great responses. I'm really thrilled that so many of you have experienced it as well, because I think it's an extraordinary phenomena. Because in reality, something has been brought sometimes into being. Like there are apports that people had never seen before. They were just coins, like old coins have been apported that are, from the 1800s. And so that's why I find Paradox Fossils talk about timelines is pretty interesting, because what if it's literally that it's something slipping through a time anomaly, just a little bubble that's something fell into and then just popped out at a different time in maybe the same place, maybe in a whole different place. But I find the phenomena incredibly interesting. What do you think about it, Sheldon?
Gosh, I don't know. See, the problem is that I may have experienced this before, or I may not have. The problem is I forget where things are so often that it's hard for me to even really know whether I've experienced this kind of thing or not. I lose stuff all of the time, and I have no memory of where I put it or anything like that. So it's possible I've experienced it without even realizing. But as far as do I think this is possible? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And I believe every single person who says they've experienced it. The problem is I can't, as far as to experience it myself, I don't know. I could have, or I might not have. It's hard for me to say.
Yeah, and I think this is sometimes used to help people, even when they don't know it. And I've covered this on the show before, but even if you consider you put your keys in the same place, and this is the exact example I've used before, but you put your keys in the same place. Let's say it's a bowl on a table right inside your door. That's where they go. You come in the door, plop your keys down, and then you go do your thing. And then let's say you're heading to work and you're in a hurry and you go to the bowl and your keys aren't there. And you literally toss the whole place looking for them. Can't find them. Come back maybe 15 minutes, maybe a half hour later. They're right where they're supposed to be. You grab them, you go. And it's a frustrating experience. But what if sometimes those events are divine interventions? Like if you had left when you were supposed to, you could have been in a fatal crash. You could have maybe crashed into somebody that popped out between cars and killed them, or something like that could have happened that was just averted because you couldn't find your keys. And so I think sometimes we judge those occurrences as annoyances and as nuisances and absolutely frustrating events. But maybe sometimes they're meant to just keep us from being in a place where we were a danger either to ourselves or to someone else inadvertently. Not like you're going to go out and do something, but that if you were just in that place at that time, something horrible would have happened that you would have had to live with. But at the end of the day, all you got is an annoyance because maybe you're late for work now, and it's frustrating. So sometimes we judge those situations just on the merit of what actually is going on. but we can't possibly know what could have happened and was now avoided. So I try to think of those things as maybe they are really powerful interventions to help us in some way that we just don't understand. And I think that is a very powerful possibility. So,
oh yeah, I mean, you told me years ago, and I really do live my life this way as far as the belief of it, is that everything happens for a reason, whether we understand it or not. So even when I'm frustrated by a situation, I do keep that in the back of my mind, whether it's losing something or I guess whatever life throws at me, it's happening for a reason.
Right. Yeah, I think there is certainly some randomness to the universe and to the events that happen, but I think that ultimately things happen as they're supposed to for reasons we can't possibly understand at the time.
Yeah.
But maybe in hindsight we will. We'll come to a point. It's like, man, like you're on your way to work when you finally are able to go and you see this huge car pile up and it's like, oh my God, I might have been in that, or something. So my point is just to, hold on, to not judge the situations right on their face value. And Android says, personally, I think spirits know when we're looking and when we are not. So they're able to whisk things away quickly into AC vent or something. They are very mischievous. And there certainly could be mischievous ones. I mean, if you put down a screwdriver and it's gone, it's like, that's an inconvenience. It's an annoyance. Chances are that didn't save you from anything. It's just causing trouble or being mischievous, as he said. You got to talk, Sheldon.
Well, it's actually interesting. You're talking about that, like when you were talking about, like who knows whether when you lose something, that it could be averting something bad. Kind of what Android Purity is saying. Is that like maybe they know when we're looking for something,
Sure.
and maybe they avert things from happening. Like there's one story, I could be wrong, but I thought I remember hearing a story like this. Anyone can correct me if they know what I'm talking about. But I thought I heard a story where there was a guy who was supposed to be on a flight. And I don't know what he lost. I don't know if it was the plane tickets or if it was whatever it was he needed. And he ended up having to rebook his flight. Well, it turned out the flight he was supposed to be on was one of the flights that was involved in 9/11. So like stuff like that can have really powerful effects, and it's one of those things where, I mean, if everything went according to plan, I mean, he wouldn't be here. So
yeah.
I think stories like that are very powerful, that kind of bolster that kind of point.
Yeah, exactly. And Colleen Bowman says, this happens all the time with me. I agree, Brent. Thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I don't pretend to know everything, but I think it's important to consider possibilities because we don't understand the incredible dynamics that we live in. We're just dealing with 3 dimensions all the time, but there's, 11, 12, 15 unlimited dimensions interplaying, and maybe we just can't understand, but just to trust the process as much as you can, because maybe something just saved your life. You just don't know, or save someone else's life. You just don't know. So anything is possible, John says. Exactly. So
it's better to be late for work than being buried in a coffin.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm pretty sure all the time. So this has been the Discord question of the week, just to give you guys an idea. And to those of you that participated in the discussion, thank you so much. This is, it's been a great addition to the show. I really love hearing your guys' reaction to these questions and what you think. So if you got ideas for questions you'd like to ask, please send them to me and we can post those as well, or send them to Sheldon or Don or whatever. And we'll post your questions as well. We've had some great questions asked by actual listeners and people that are in the Discord that wanted to know something. And so it's a great opportunity to just throw it out there and see what people think. And all responses, again, are valid. So I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. And it's just about the break, so let's get back at it. Yes. What do you think? What do you think, Sheldon?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that was great.
Okay. Well, let's call this complete.
Right.
And I remembered to turn it off. Good. All right, so we are just going to be going to the hour break now, and then when we come back, we're going to dive into some weirdness in the form of short stories from Reddit, and we'll get to the Cryptid Corner after that, where we're going to dive into some reports of Glimmerman and other strange cryptids from Phantoms and Monsters. So got a lot left to get through, and as always, remember, the phone lines are open, and there actually is a phone call. I'm just noticing it now. So caller, just hold on the line. We'll come back to you right after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, flipping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Extraordinarily bad.
They think they're in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. plan is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances have a fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And years and years and years. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second hour is now coming together. You are now merging into the second hour. And just before the break, I realized we had a call here. So sorry it took so long, but they've been on hold now for 20 minutes, 24 minutes. So let's get to the call and find out who this is. Area code 980, you're on the air.
Hello, this is Wendy from North Carolina. How are you doing?
Hi, Wendy. Thanks for calling in. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Well, I just wanted to tell you about, it's happened a few times, but I just wanted to tell you about two particular times that I can contribute to what you're talking about the spiritual thing, ports and all that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so the first time I was like back in junior high, this was years ago, I fell asleep up in the rec room in my house, and I woke up, and there was like a doctor's bag sitting on the floor by my feet. Well, it was probably like two feet away from my feet. And I was like, what in the world? And it disappeared and reappeared and then disappeared again.
Oh, freaky. And
I was like, whoa, I didn't know what that was all about. But yeah, I've already told you about that house, so that was crazy anyway.
Yeah.
But the second time, this is really crazy. I told my kids, this is something you got to tell your kids and their grandkids because this is so fantastic. Well, anyway, okay, so we went to Walmart. I took my daughter to Walmart. We bought a can of spray paint, and the nozzle didn't work. And so I told her we would have to take it back. And she said, okay, well, we have 30 days to take it back. And I was like, okay, just keep reminding me about it. Well, anyway, she did, and I was like, I couldn't find the receipt or anything. Day 29, she was like, hey, Mom, we have to return the spray, the can of spray paint. And I was like, well, honestly, I don't even know where the receipt is. Do you know, the next day I was in the spare room and I was looking in a box full of art supplies and the heater comes on. This happened like 2 Marches ago, not the March before, last March.
Okay.
And the heater came on, and in this particular room, the vent is up on in this room, the vent was up on the left side of the wall, probably about a foot from the ceiling, but it was on the wall. And anyway, and as soon as the heat came on, I was like digging around in the box looking for art supplies, and one of my hands was lifting the lid up because it's one of those plastic bin things. And do you know, a piece of paper comes floating towards me and lands in my hand. I said, oh my goodness. And it was the receipt. Can you believe that mess?
That's incredible.
Oh my God.
Anyway, it is. I know it sounds incredible and it's hard to believe, but it happened. And I said, oh my, incredible things have happened to me before and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I told the kids, I'm like, man, the receipt, I had no idea where it was. Who knew it was in a spare room? And it floated right to my hand. When I saw it coming, I said, I know this cannot be what I think it is. And sure enough, it was the receipt.
Wow.
I said, oh my goodness. Well, of course, I was expressing my gratitude to whoever. I don't know what that was all about. So, but I just wanted to share that. That was crazy. And of course, the kids weren't all that impressed. I don't know why. But I mean, but I'm like, man, this is something you guys need to tell your kids about and tell your grandkids. I mean, anyway.
It's incredible.
Well, that's it. I just wanted to tell you.
It's incredible because when you think about what actually occurred, I mean, is a receipt showing up a big thing? No, but the fact that how it showed up, and the manner of which was going on is just amazing. And that's what my take is. You know, a lot of people think the paranormal always has to be this Hollywood thing, you know, like where books are flying and doors are slamming and stuff. But it's stuff like this that really blows me away the most, because it's just this neat example of something paying attention and trying to help out. And I guess if you're going to have a spirit around, that's the right kind to have.
True. Yeah.
True indeed. And you know what's even more amazing? We never did go back and return it. It only cost $1 for this.
Right.
And so, you know, I was like, we'll just get another one. You know, I mean, I didn't feel like leaving.
No.
But,
And now that receipt was just like gold because it manifested and floated to you. So I don't know, things like that. I'm just like, wonder if it's possible to examine things like that and find that they're somehow a little different than the other items, the normal items, like a normal receipt that didn't go anywhere. Would something have occurred to that receipt that was unique and different and could kind of explain at least some of the mechanics going on, if there was a way to examine it atomically or whatever? Because I mean, it just appeared and floated. It was being suspended by something, you know, and something extraordinary happened to this one little piece of paper. And I think that's why I say that the paranormal's the breadcrumbs. So what happened to that piece of paper? Where did it go? What kind of forces were acting on this to make that happen? And that's where I think we stand to learn stuff from these incredible events. But anyway, that's really cool. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that.
Oh, anytime.
Nobody else seems to be impressed around here. So.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely impressed for sure. And I know all of our listeners are as well. So thank you so much, Wendy. And it's great to hear from you again. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, well, you all have a good night then. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
Take care, Wendy.
Okay, thank you.
That's cool. That's a cool story. And again, it's just a receipt. It's just a little piece of paper, but something extraordinary happened to that piece of paper. And I don't know. It just seems to me that there's got to be a way to learn something about what happened by examining that piece of paper, you know, if that, or whatever it is that is apported or deported and apported again. Is there some fundamental change, some microscopic or atomic or quantum change that happened to those items that could be observed and could help us to understand the phenomena that we're dealing with? I just think there's so much powerful stuff.
Maybe even have a different type of radiation. Like it's just science needs to catch up in order for us to be able to measure these things effectively.
Right. Well, like it's believed, like with portals, for instance, when spirit portals or such open, that there, if indeed it's another dimension, there should be like a quantum or a gamma burst. And I worked with Dan Pruitt, who's a paranormal investigator friend of mine, and we brought it up to Coloma when we were investigating the ghost town up there. And there was this one area that appears to be dolmens. They appear to be these stones that were placed intentionally, ancient stones, and they're huge blocks of granite. But it looks like there's an altar there, and so we put his detector on the altar, which detected gamma and radiation, and sure enough, we were getting, every once in a while, we get little bursts that were anomalous. And so there may very well have been portals opening and closing on that in that area. So I don't know, just incredible.
Oh,
incredible stuff. I don't think we got any of that on camera though. So unfortunately, but
darn.
Well, I mean, there would have been hours and hours. I mean, literally 2 days of investigation. There would have been so much, and we weren't really sure we get anything. But sure enough, you got some spikes. And also, when we were doing the instrumental transcommunication, we got some anomalous radiation readings as well, which were really interesting. So, but very cool. Okay.
I have a question
Okay.
that I said I would say earlier.
Uh-huh.
Now, it had to do with, oh my God, I forgot her name already. Marie Wellstead
Uh-huh.
said earlier that if there's any correlation with ghostly activity with hot or cold, whether like temperature wise.
Sure.
Now, I know there's seasonal, like as far as Hallows Eve and whatnot, that's when the veil is supposed to be most thinnest.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, when it's misty out, that could be an indication of a thinner veil too. But as far as just temperature, is there a good temperature for different kind of ghostly activities? Do you think or not?
Well, I mean, cold spots are reported all the time. And the belief is that spiritual entities that are earthbound may absorb the ambient temperature energy as part of the means to sustain them. And that's a real common thing, these transient cold spots that appear and disappear. And sometimes it's a whole room that it doesn't matter how much people try to heat it, it always feels cold. And it can be attributed to paranormal activity. But is there an environmental temperature that burns more or less? No, I don't think so. The only thing that seems to occur, and it's not universally so, but there seems to be a correlation between day and night. Like you can still have plenty of spiritual activity during the day. I mean, that's, a lot of the ghost shows could do this stuff during the day as well and probably get just as much information as they do in the night. But something about the night feels, I don't know, more disconnected. Now, there is something to be said for the fact that at night, I think our senses are more perked or peaked. But I don't think it has to do with temperature or light necessarily. It's just that nights are quieter. You can hear more because there's not as much ambient stuff going around. People are generally sleeping and whole communities go quiet in the night. But as far as temperature, I don't know. One ghost show I watched, and I think it was the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. Whatever, there was Ghost Asylum was their show. And they did this experiment where they put out several different energy types that possibly spirits could use to become more energetic and to interact. And they had like an EM pump or an EM thing cooking. They had some other stuff, and then they had a heater. And they were noticing a lot of temperature anomalies of the heat coming out of there, like something was getting in the way. And then they were able to capture, I think via EVP, that the ghost preferred the heat as an energy source rather than EM and all of the other varieties that they were offering. And so again, I wasn't there with them. I don't know how clinical that test was, or if it was just kind of a hodgepodge and or what have you, or if it was even creative editing. I don't know. But they represented on there that the ghost seemed to prefer the heat energy in order to glean a source of power. But maybe fear is another one for darker things. So I don't know if that answers the question per se, but I don't know of any temperate zones that are more or less haunted based upon, whether it's tropical or Arctic or whatever. I just think they are where they are, and they'll glean whatever they can from wherever they're at. I don't know if they get to choose,
It would make sense for warmer weather to indicate more, because when we're talking about cold spots, that could be an indication of an entity absorbing the energy in the air that is the warmth in the air, the atoms moving in that vibration, absorbing that energy in order to do something. So they would make sense for them to prefer warmth over cold.
Well, there's still heat energy in 32 degree air. I mean, there's still some, because it can, absolute zero is a long ways away from 32 degrees Fahrenheit or zero Celsius. So there's a lot of energy even in 32 degree air, but there's probably a lot more. So maybe they can sap it, whatever the temperature is, they can just make it colder if that's indeed what they might subsist on, or at least some of them. So that would be my take on it. Not that I'm, know for sure, but that's interesting.
Android Paranormal says, speaking as a meteorology geek who has watched the Weather Channel since I was 7, I've seen very little testing from paranormal investigators testing temp, atmosphere pressure, and humidity during occurrences of activity. It's a major under-tested area. Ooh.
Yeah, I've seen some people testing barometric pressure, and there's always the belief that storm systems definitely peak up the activity. That's during thunderstorms and stuff, and it might be due to the electrical energy. It might be due to the barometer as well. There could be a lot of factors at work. Just that natural energy is so intense, and perhaps that allows earthbound spirits to be more active. But you're right. I mean, there certainly could be a lot more of that atmospheric stuff. The millimeter does, I know it tests several things. And I think barometric pressure might be one of them, but I might be wrong. I don't own one. I'm just going from memory, but you're right. I think that there's a lot of, basically ghost investigation, spirit investigation is kind of a crapshoot. People are grabbing different items from other things, like a K2 meter is meant to check for faulty wiring or faulty electrical motors or other appliances, but they found these anomalous readings that don't make sense with K2 meters, so now they're kind of a staple. The same thing for the FLIRs are not generally made for paranormal investigating, but pretty much every type of paranormal investigating has adopted the FLIR because it does show hot and cold. They've used temperature guns for a long time that you'd use on your grill or whatever to see how hot the meat is and look for cold spots and stuff with that. And so that is an atmospheric thing as well. But you're right. I mean, there's certainly a lot of growth that could happen in investigating this stuff, but it's kind of back shed science rather than an actual concerted efforts with utilizing true scientific methods. But there are some teams out there that really adhere to to data collection and atmospherics and such. They're just not all on TV. TV. We got a barometer, a barometric pressure anomaly. Well, that doesn't make for good TV. But they want to see the apparition. They want to see the door slamming, and they're kind of pushed to make it sensational because you want people tuning in. I mean, there's a concerted effort there to make it sensational, and which is probably also a deterrent to people really look into this very seriously. I talked to several investigators through the years, and the one thing they told me was the most important piece of equipment was a notepad, so you could take down notes throughout the night. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And others say that you're the best piece of equipment because we do sense when things are around. We get those chills and stuff. Like we have a barometer that picks up on anomalous energies as well. So, it's all kind of baling wire and duct tape right now. But I think it's growing, and it's more and more modalities will be included as more people generate interest and energy into the fields. So, yeah. But we went through nearly the whole segment there. I wanted to make sure to talk that, and that's fine. I mean, I love talking to you guys, and I love the chat, asking questions. That's awesome. So don't ever be shy. We don't have to stick to any schedule, honestly. We can do whatever the hell we want.
We could do a whole show of just talking to chat if you guys really want.
We could do a whole episode. Absolutely. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about this. This is the paranormalportal.net. This is the main page for the Paranormal Portal. And you go to paranormalportal.net. I built this specially for all of us, but for all of you as well. Now, this gives you links to both the YouTube and the podcast. So those are two different shows, just so you know. But what I wanted to point out was this thing, and this is thanks to Wes Germer. There's the countdown timer that shows the time until the next stream. So after this, I'll go in there and edit it and make it for Wednesday. But it'll show you when these live streams are happening. And down here in this segment is a new addition that I made. And this is under the Paranormal Portal podcast. And I'm always looking for guests. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast, click the button below. And if you click this, what this will do is bring up a calendar. It's called Calendly. And it's a really cool site that You click on whatever date you want, and there's a time ranges in there that you could click. Let's say you wanted Monday the 16th. You click there, and it gives you some time options to choose from, and it's in hour blocks. So, and this is a new addition to help organize me because special thanks to Wes Germer for helping me learn about this. But it's an excellent application, and it should help me streamline these interviews because I got notepads and pieces of paper all over the place, and my heart breaks if I ever forget one and I miss them, and I have in the past. And it really makes me sad because if you guys are reaching out to try to be on the show and want to share your story, I want to make it as easy for you as possible. So please go to paranormalportal.net and then look under the Paranormal Portal podcast. And it talks about the fact that it's available on all the platforms. But if you want to be a guest, there's a button that says interview me. Click that, and that'll bring you to the calendar app. And then I'll get it on my calendar, and we can connect. And in the notes, if you would just put in, I do use Skype. It's possible to use Zoom or even Discord if I need to. I can use many different applications for recording podcasts. But this should help me to organize and to better remember when I have obligations like this. So I hope you guys will check it out, and check it out anyway, because there's some more information here, including our P.O. box. If any of you want to send me something, you can do so down here at the bottom of the page. That's the P.O. box for the Paranormal Portal. So far, I've gotten nothing in it, but I had somebody reach out to me by email going, hey, I got a 3D printer. I wanted to 3D print stuff. Do you have a P.O. box? And I was like, no, I don't. But I got one. And so if you go to paranormalportal.net, it's down here. And so, so remember, interview me. If you want to be a guest on the show, or you know someone that should be a guest on the show, let them know and have them get in touch with me, and we'll sort it out from there. So hopefully this works good and helps to streamline some of this, some of these shows for me. Awesome, Brent, moving up in the podcast world. I'm trying. I mean, it's the podcast is
really handy,
doing wonderful, and special thanks to all of you out there for tuning in. Those of you that are, and for those of you that will. We've just got literally 3 minutes before the break.
I'm scheduled for the 16th at 1 p.m.
Did you actually do one?
I put test. Don't worry, I put test.
Okay, well, great.
Could ignore it.
Well, no, because now that slot is gone.
Oh,
I think I can back it out. Don't worry, I'm just kidding you. Okay. I'm just joking, but it's fine. Yeah, I hope it makes it easier for people to get in touch with me. And Rachel says she's overtired or tired. Cold air triggers my spasms. Sorry about that, Rachel. We do have a couple minutes left, and we've been going through this article on techietwist.com. Reddit users shared their unexplained things that happened to them. And so let's see what's going on here. We're on number 38, Rip Sniffles. My cat used to visit me after he passed away, and I would see him move in the corner of my eye, just at the edge of my vision. Or I could feel his head pressing against my chin like he used to. This went on for years and basically stopped when we moved. I missed him. I hope they didn't leave Mr. Sniffles behind. Should have called him. Like, come on, Mr. Sniffles. Yeah, go for a car ride. That's cute, though. I think the pets do stay with us. Whose dog is this anyways? Next, one day I came home from work and I snuggled up with my dog, pet him, and decided to take him on our favorite walk. I literally fell asleep with him on top of me that night. I woke up in the morning and I couldn't find him anywhere. I called my parents, who live practically next door, in a panic, and apparently, while I'd been at work that day, they'd taken him to their house. They forgot to return him, and my dog had been with them all evening and night. So what dog did I spend all that time with?
Oh, no.
Whoa, that's a doppelganger for sure. That's some prankster. I'm going to get close to her tonight.
Oh, no.
That's a little on the creepy meter there. She was snuggling and walking somebody. This one is, well, that's creepy. When I was about 9, I went on vacation with my family to a seaside town in the next state over. Well, none of us had ever been there before, and we were having a great time exploring the beach and the town. I think we've covered this one before. We stopped at an ice cream shop and were enjoying ourselves when my dad noticed a picture on the wall. It was my older brother and I enjoying ice cream in that same shop. Only in this photo, we were the same age, about 3 years old. My brother is 4 years older than me, so there was no way we could have looked the same age when I was 3. The creepy part that made us all certain it was us was that I had a very distinct blonde streak in my dark hair, as well as dimples, and so did this girl. Ooh, that is wild. So, I don't know. That's one of those ice cream shops you might want to, maybe you don't want that ice cream.
Time to skip it.
Yeah, it's time to go on a diet. All right, number 41. No, we got to go to the break. We're all out of time. Last break of the night. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes for the remainder of the show. We're going to visit the Cryptid Corner, talk about some weirdness there. So don't go away. Be right back.
miss that cat.
Yeah, he's about 15 times a day he does this. He jumps up and right in the middle of everything. Don't you, Anubis? Don't you? He just likes to be on camera once in a while. And
Is my skin looking like really golden or something?
You're my golden child. You're one of 3 golden children that I have.
Fair.
You're the first
People keep
one.
saying that I have this like golden aura around me. My skin looks more red than gold on my screen.
Does it? I don't know. Hey, it's good to have an aura. Maybe people are seeing auras. I don't know. I can't see auras usually. So, yeah. Okay. Can you excuse me, please? Huh? I got work to do here. I've got work to do. There's work to be done. All right. Excuse me, Fluffy. Okay. Go. Okay. You gotta hop down now. Oh, Mr. Snuggles. This is Anubis, folks. This is my black cat. And then I have a white cat as well, who is Pikachu. So it's kind of the yin and yang. Sometimes he likes to sit on the arm of the chair, but this is a new chair, so I don't know how he's going to dig this or not, but we'll see. I guess he can try.
Pickle boy.
He's a good boy. All right, so welcome back, folks. And it's time now, I guess, to dive into the Cryptid Corner with the last 24 minutes of the show that we have. And hope you guys are ready. That's a nice cat. Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, he's a good cat. He's very soft spoken, where his Pikachu is very loud spoken. he talks all day long. But Pikachu was a feral cat, and this was a cat that I got from a friend of ours. So, and he's a good boy. So let's see. Let's get to the cryptid stuff, right? So last night, Sheldon, have you ever heard of the Glimmer Man? I don't think you probably have. Or Glimmer Man. Have you ever heard of that phenomenon?
It's incredibly familiar. You may have told me before. Maybe off show. I don't know.
I didn't even remember until last show. And it was basically, it's kind of reporting of these humanoid figures that are seen in forests often, where they look cloaked like the Predator. And I didn't remember the title Glimmer Man, but it came up last night on a Phantoms and Monsters article. So I was like, oh, that's I guess what they're calling it now. I'd heard predators, I heard cloaked individuals or whatever, but I guess Glimmer Man works. That's interesting. But this is an article from Phantoms and Monsters, and ladies and gentlemen, please check out Phantoms and Monsters. Our friend Lon Strickler has a podcast as well. It's Phantoms and Monsters podcast. But phantomsandmonsters.com is a great repository for stories, for research that they're doing regarding a lot of strange phenomena, including Dogman, the Mothman phenomena up around the Chicago Great Lakes area, and so much more, Bigfoot, etc. So it's a great source for a lot of Fortean and UFO topics and such. And Lon's books are listed there, as well as, so much more. So check out Phantoms and Monsters, and special thanks to Lon for letting us use his site for the show. And he's been on the podcast a few times as well. Great guy. So this is the story from Phantoms and Monsters, and it's Glimmer Man follows fleeing teens in dark woods. And I think that would be a horrible feeling because, I don't know if it's better or worse than just a Bigfoot or a Dogman, but because you don't really know what it is, it's just kind of not really there, but it's kind of there. And that's disconcerting too, because you don't know what you're dealing with. It's just something that's upright bipedally and knows that you're there and maybe doesn't like it much. But it says, 2 teenage friends spend the night in the nearby woods only to observe a Glimmer Man watching them. They start to leave the woods, but soon realize that they're being followed. Oof, that's horrible. This occurred back in the early 1990s when I was a teenager. My parents were not strict, so I had a lot of freedom. One of my friend's parents owned a huge part of a nearby woods that we would spend much of our time. We built a makeshift hut, so this place became our sanctuary for a long time. One friend spent the night at our sanctuary, which none of us had ever done before. We only hung out there during the day and then went home, but because of this, we all planned to spend the night together because it'd be fun. Some of our friends weren't allowed to spend the night, though, because their parents and the others just chickened out because they were afraid. So it was just me and the other kid. My friend's cousin, the other kid, my friend's cousin. We weren't close at the time and fought a lot, but surprisingly, we got along well that night. At around 11 p.m., about 10 minutes after laying down in our sleeping bags, we heard rustling. Well, I sat up and saw a very tall silhouette of something that looked to be human-like, but the weird part was that it was also transparent. I could see right through it. I squinted and froze. It very quickly climbed up a nearby tall tree. When it reached the large bough, it stopped moving and simply disappeared. Well, I was in complete disbelief and shock. I had no idea if this was real or if I hallucinated it. I wasn't scared, actually more perplexed. I said to my friend that we should leave, and not wanting it to hear me, I got close to his ear and said, "There's something in the woods looking at us." After I said that, I saw his facial expression turn into fear. So we got up and started walking down the path towards the edge of the woods. We did so calmly. I didn't want to sprint because it might give chase. Very shortly after we started leaving, we both experienced this weird feeling of deja vu and confusion. It was like we were hit with hard drugs or something, even though we didn't use drugs and only ate food from home. I did have a small flashlight. I felt disoriented, but we continued to walk in this direction for quite a while, stumbling in the darkness. Because of our mental state, I realized we should have been out of the forest by now. I knew this was the way out after going in and out of this place for years, even in the dark. I didn't recognize the trees and landscape around us, just the path. It was like our surroundings were changing. Then my friend sees the transparent thing I saw earlier. It was perched on a tree branch in front of us. He pointed it out to me, and I told him that's what I had seen earlier. We stopped and watched it. It had a heat wave effect. We stared at it for about 10 seconds in disbelief. It looked like a transparent being, but there was a defined edge around it. I then quickly climbed up the tree a little more, and it then quickly climbed up the tree a little more, and then jumped into the next tree. It was completely silent. As well, the woods were completely silent. Then, for some unknown reason, we both panicked and started to run. The surroundings still seemed foreign, but we just wanted to get away from this unknown being. We were beginning to wonder if we had gotten turned around at some point because we should have been out of the woods by this time. But as soon as we started to fear that we were lost, we suddenly began to recognize where we were. We exited the woods and quickly made our way to each of our houses. The next day we met back at the sanctuary. My new friend and I described to everyone what had happened to us the previous night. There was a lot of kidding around and teasing, but there was also a sense that each of us knew that something unexplained has actually occurred. Gradually, each of us started to spend less time in the woods together. We all seemed to drift apart and found new friends over time. I occasionally wonder if the encounter with the transparent being was the reason why our friendship faded away. That's creepy. And what you don't know is what was it doing? What did it want to do? You know, does it consume people? Is it just toying with people? Just kind of a mischievous thing? It doesn't sound.
I think if it could have gotten them, it could have. I mean, it could climb up trees with. Well, it didn't say it used any effort. It just said it made no noise somehow. Right. So maybe just mischievous, kind of pushing them out of the woods type of thing.
Yeah. It's strange. I don't know. It does seem more mischievous. I don't know of anybody that's ever been attacked by these things, but I've heard people seeing them in front of them, and like one story was in nighttime. They had a flashlight, and they could hear things walking around, but couldn't quite see. But then they shined their flashlight around, and the flashlight was able to make them see that there was a silhouette. It was still transparent, but it just kind of froze when the light was shining on it and didn't move. I don't think the thing realized that people could see the silhouette though. So it just kind of stood there, because one consistency that I'm noticing in these Glimmerman stories is that once the creature quits moving, it becomes like impossible to see it, unless maybe there's specific lighting or backlighting going on. So they seem to freeze, and then people just kind of lose track of where they are. But I mean, it sounds like they can just travel absolutely silently through the forest, and nobody can hear them. So it is a creepy thing. I don't know.
Assuming, of course, that all these are true.
Right.
How is that? I'm just thinking, like, as far as like physics and interacting with the world, climbing up a tree without any sound, like even the sound of like grabbing the trunk and that type of thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Well, like cats, for instance, cats have the ability to stalk almost silently. And maybe there's some sound, but maybe, it's hard to hear over the pounding of your own heart. I don't know. That's the thing. We don't really know what these kids were actually hearing. They did say the woods were deadly silent, which is a really disheartening thing. I've experienced that myself, and it's pretty weird. Somebody said creature or person, and it's hard to know. That was Chucky Danger said creature or person. And who knows? It just has a silhouette like a person, but we don't know. I mean, could they be extraterrestrial? Maybe. Could they be extra dimensional? Maybe. It's this weird anomalous thing. Could it be a cloaked Bigfoot or semi-cloaked Bigfoot? Maybe, if that is a real thing, and I don't pretend to know, but the Glimmerman is silent but deadly. Yeah, exactly.
Rachel gets it right, says maybe it's a manifestation of the forest dreaming, but instead of being in the dream realm, its dream realm is in our world.
Well, that's an interesting take, because there are many esoteric beliefs that are out there that state that there are guardians of spaces, and certainly the wild spaces are a big one, where maybe it's some sort of sylph or some such manifestation of a what we believe to be or believed to be some kind of energetic presence. Maybe they are guardians of an area. Maybe they are just other spirits, but you don't know. And so therefore the silent part makes sense. But it is hard to say. But the dream realm, that's a great take. I don't know. That's a pretty deep rabbit hole too. Manifestation of the forest dreaming. Maybe. Certainly there is a consciousness in the wild places. Perhaps a collective consciousness, but also, I mean, it's been demonstrated many times to my knowledge that plants have a consciousness. They have recognition. Yeah. They can see and experience what's going on around them. So there is a sentience even to plants. So it's hard to say. I just don't know for sure. Oh, you're gonna hit the door. He's in the door. He's tapping on the door like, "Hey, let me out now."
Like a guardian, like a spirit of the forest type of thing is what you're talking about.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. I mean, it's a really a big conundrum, whatever it is. But I find it fascinating, because I don't think I've ever heard of anybody being attacked by these things, but they just seem to be, I don't know, watching. It did kind of confound them, though. I mean, they were hit by some sort of energy shift that kind of screwed with their perceptions and made them feel unsure of their surroundings. So it does.
That makes me think like infrasound.
Well, maybe. I mean, that could be a good take. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know what infrasound feels like. I know I've talked to people that believe they've been zapped. They always say zapped. And it's like just being hit by something and suddenly things don't make sense anymore. But in several cases, if that is the case, the infrasound really wipes a person out. Like they don't have any energy for days afterwards. So I don't know. But cool story.
Android Paranormal says the best proof of plants being able to feel is a vine knowing how to perfectly wrap around a fence post.
Yeah, that's
very true.
That's
absolutely true. Yeah.
They definitely know when they're in contact with something. And I mean, if you ever watch time lapse of like vines as they grow, they literally do whip their little tendril out in like a lasso until they hit something, and then they kind of hook on it, or I should put it on camera. So they whip it around like a lasso like this and then the whole vine will kind of bend around until it hits something. Then it grabs on and goes up further. It's pretty incredible. But very cool. Let's get to the next one from Phantoms and Monsters. And this is Wendigo or Crawler Humanoid Encounter in Rural Western Ontario. And this is from January 5th. These crawler things are creepy as hell. I don't know what they are, but I assume, I guess my personal take on them is I think they're ghouls. They're what were called ghouls for a long time, but it's just a new names, whether it's rake, crawler, but Wendigo is a different one. It says a rural Western Ontario land. Let me see how long this is. No, this is fine. We got time to read it. 9 minutes. A rural Western Ontario landowner recalls their encounter with a tall, pale, white humanoid in the woods near their home. The couple living nearest to him also has seen and heard the humanoid. And Lon says he recently received the following account. I live outside of Kenora, Ontario, Canada, in a rural area. My house is about 100 meters from a small stream that splits the small wooded lot in half. I was there one day, and all of a sudden I felt cold and uncomfortable, like I was being watched. I also became increasingly paranoid that somebody or something was out there with me. I decided to head in. The sun was setting and the dusk would be upon me soon. I started walking towards my house. As I approached the edge of the woods, I turned around and briefly saw a large creature about 80 yards from me standing across the stream. It then proceeded to take a step towards me. I panicked. I ran out of those woods in about 5 seconds. It's the most I've ever been scared and the most adrenaline that I've ever felt run through me. In the brief period of time that I saw this thing, I could tell that it was pale, white, tall, and humanoid. It's believed by First Nation people that a Wendigo will call you for help like a human in order to lure people towards it. I had heard what sounded like a little girl calling for help out in those woods. It's still terrifying to even think about this. About a year later, after a heavy snowfall, I again heard the calls of a girl coming from the woods. I looked out the window but didn't see anything. That night, the sounds continued on and off. I live alone, but there's a couple that lives about 1 kilometer from me. A few days later, I had the opportunity to talk to the couple, and I asked them if they had heard the sounds. They both looked at me with wide eyes. They seemed so relieved that they were not imagining the sounds. The husband told me that he saw a tall, pale, white humanoid walking through the woods behind their house while he was chopping wood. I asked him what he thought it was, and he said he wasn't sure, but he remembered that his father would talk about Wendigos when he was a boy. I've not seen the humanoid again, and I'm not really sure what this thing is. Yeah, that's horrible.
That's creepy.
It is, and especially utilizing a sound like that, because it appeals to the humanity in everybody. If you hear a child needing help, I mean, it's just like, help the child. You know, it's like our personal 911. It's like, boom, you just do it because you just can't imagine a child suffering by themselves and God only knows what. And so you run there and there's something large and white waiting for you. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I would not pass the test because I would go. I could not go. My moral compass wouldn't allow me to not at least check it out to make sure.
Oh, I hear you, but and I'm just saying, if you ever hear kids screaming in the woods or calling for help, pack some heat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, at least
pack some big heat and go out there decked out because you don't know what it is. And God forbid it's actually a child. I mean, that's horrible, but you gotta help if you can, I agree. I mean, it's like, what are you not gonna? You're just gonna listen to a child scream? No, of course you're gonna go and try to help however you can, and I don't imagine there's that many of these things out there that that you should be most concerned about that. But I think you got to be at least cognizant of the fact that this is reported kind of often, that people hear these weird cries for help, like a woman screaming. Now, there are animals, normal animals, that have terrifyingly human-like screams, and they can sound like people, desperate for help or screaming for help, but it could be just the mating call of something.
Sometimes even rabbits sound weirdly like
rabbits don't make any noise unless they're being like killed. Then they
That's
scream.
what I mean.
Yeah. And then they scream, and that's a horrible sound too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a heartbreaking sound, because if you hear it, it's already game over. They're already in the grip of something. But just one of those things. It's just one of those things. But I don't know. That is a couple of accounts of the Cryptid Corner. We only got about 4 minutes left, so I think that's where we'll leave it on that one. Let me close that one out so I don't reread it later. We still got a couple more to read on a future show, but I thought, in the last couple minutes we could...
Is crawler and wendigo supposed to be the same thing?
No. Normally the crawlers are these pale white, like naked figures in the forest. Like even in winter, they like have no covering whatsoever. Just this white skin, and they're very lanky, but they're not usually very enormous. They're usually 4 or 5 feet, human size, basically. Small human size, but they're creepy. You remember that video? I'm sure you must have seen it, of that guy recording with his iPad out his screen porch, and there's something out in the yard. That's supposed to be like a crawler, like a white crawler, that kind of thing, or a rake or a ghoul. It's a horrifying phenomenon, whatever it is, because I don't know how these things stay warm. But then again, any animal, I often think about this, like when I was in Minnesota and it was so cold, I just felt so bad. I was like, there's animals that live in this. Oh, and I don't know, they do it, they manage somehow. But yeah, I guess we're just soft and squishy, whatever. But yeah, that's what a crawler is. There's several names: rake crawler, ghoul. There's a few other weird names for them. But wendigos are supposedly these whole other things, or just a possessing spirit that makes people like resort to cannibalism and go absolutely crazy. Like they get this incredible hunger and they'll eat their own lips, and it's just insanity. It's some sort of tormenting spirit. There are claims of physical description of a wendigo, and usually it's some emaciated, tall, lanky thing that has no lips at all. Just you see teeth, and the eyes are just these hollowed out masses, and they're horrid looking things. But
oh my God,
I know.
I would rather see a dogman in person than I would a rake, crawler, any of these. Jeez, these sound like nightmares.
I don't know about the whole dog. Well, I will say that at least with dogmen and Bigfoot, generally speaking, people see them and that's the end of it. But there's not a lot of claims of rakes and crawlers and stuff. But maybe that's because the people that see them, maybe they don't make it.
Survivor bias. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be. You just never know. So whatever the case is, this has been another journey into the paranormal portal, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please, support the show any way you can, with the likes, with the comments if you're watching it when it's not live, with sharing it to your social media if you wouldn't mind. That's a great endorsement. Or just letting people know, hey, I found this great show. And personal endorsements are always the best, and they mean the most to me. So, we don't advertise the shows. So any growth we have is because people either stumble onto us or someone told them about us. So you guys make the dream grow for sure. Sucks it's finished. Oh, well, sorry, John. There's only so much gas in the tank. I'd love to entertain you guys, for hours and hours, but Yeah, this ain't Twitch. Don't they do like 6-hour streams over on Twitch normally? But they're playing
6
video
to
games.
8 to 12, you know.
Yeah, generally playing video games or hanging out in hot tubs. So
Hey, if I was playing video games, I could go for 6 hours, but
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, me too. Yeah, but when it comes to reading and talking and you know, pulling up information, it gets to be you know, a bit of work. But I love the work. Don't get me wrong. I love doing this. So, but thank you to everybody who came in tonight. Thank you. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll see you next time, Wednesday night. We'll be back for another live show. Hopefully Don will be here. All right. Good night, everybody. Guess that's it. Good night.
Censorship and regulation is becoming